416 tetrahedral precession of closest packed spheres, dot 01, you will find if you take two separate parallel sets of two tangent equiradius spheres and rotate the tangential axis of the one pair 1/4 of a full circle, and then address this pair to the other pair in such a manner as to bring their respective intertangency values together, that the four now form a tetrahedron. And yeah, we should probably click on the illustration now. And so it took me a minute to kind of decode it, but Lionel is waved the mouse around. You know, you've got the grayish pair and you got the whitish pair. It's pretty clear when they come together. All of a sudden now you can see it on, just to the lower right of that. If you next take two triangles, each made of three balls in closest packing, and twist one of the triangles 60 degrees around its center hole axis, the two triangular groups now may be nested into one another, with the three spheres of one nesting in the three intersphere tangency valleys of the other. We now have six spheres in symmetrical closest packing, and they form the six vertexes of the octahedron. This twisting of one set to register it closed packedly with the other is the first instance of two pairs internested to form the tetrahedron, and in the next case of the two triangles twisted to internestability as an octahedron is called interprecessing of one set by its complementary set.
Yeah, he had three balls and three balls. Brett, are you still with us?
Yep. 3 and 3. Rotate, snap. And now you can see the octahedron. What do you think?
Yeah, you can see the octahedron when you turn it, put one ball on top. Yeah, go ahead, let it click in. And now rotate slightly so so the fat four balls are across. Yeah, see, and one ball on top, and now you can see the octahedron.
So 416.03. I'll go up to 417. Two pairs of two-layer, seven-ball triangular sets of closest packed spheres precess in a 60-degree twist to associate as the cube. This 14-sphere cube is the minimum cube that may be stably produced by closest packed spheres. While 8 spheres temporarily may be tangentially glued into a cubical array with 6 square hole facades, they are not triangulated, ergo are unstructured, ergo as a cube are utterly unstable and will collapse, ergo no 8-ball cube can be added or included in a structural hierarchy. And because I can see the cube there, right? 6 and 1 on the pairs coming together. So that's 14, but he's identifying 8 corners out of those. The 2 frequency, 3 spheres to an edge, 2-layer tetrahedron may also be formed into a cube through 90-degree interprecessional effect. See figure A. Well, he called it A, but it looks like C to me.
Yeah.
It's a tetrahedron, right?
So now in this section, I'm flipping a lot. He says the two frequency, two-layer tetrahedron. So where on this page is a two frequency drawn? It would have three balls on a side. That's here. The two frequency, three spheres from edge, two-layer tetrahedron. What does he mean by two-layer? I'm unfamiliar with that.
Yeah, it should be three layer, right?
I just don't get that. May also be formed into a cube through 90-degree interprecessional effect. Now, so if you took this and turned it 90, you could end up making a cube. Now, we do know that a cube is always two internested tetrahedra, which is sometimes today, after Bucky's passing, became known as the Merkaba. So we do know that a cube is always described by two nested tetrahedron in this format. I spent some years sitting in rooms, like now I'm looking up at my room. Rooms are generally kind of rectangular or cubic in our society. And then try to see the two tetrahedra. You're going to look at the diagonals across your ceiling, across the walls. And if you meditate for a little while, you can see the Merkaba in any room. And there was one other thing I just point out for fun. This 14 sphere cube is the minimum cube that may be stably produced by closest packed spheres. Emphasize the second section, 8 spheres tangentially glued. If you want to make a cube, describe a cube in space by using equally sized ping pong balls, they would probably do exactly what Bucky's writing here. They would put 4 in the base because they can see the cube. They see the square when you put 4 balls next to each other. And then you put 4 balls on top of it. Like that's not structural, because if you were extremely farsighted like Bucky, and if you push on those ping pong balls, they will slide. Because when they're next to each other, they are not into the intersphere tangency valley. And this is where something that I like to highlight when I read Synergetics, we're not just reading what Bucky wrote, we're learning to use the tools of thinking that he uses. So he used, I don't think intersphere is a word that's used very often. You know, it's a constructed word. We know what it means when we read it, because inter, between, sphere. So Bucky puts together this word intersphere that
A slightly different way of saying what we're talking about. So, this 8-ball thing is not illustrated, right? But it's, a sphere in each corner, so we can easily visualize it. And then each ball touches another, but at a single point, and I think that's his tangential, right? That's just touching in a single point. And so then, unless there's something else, holding it, I guess, like the triangulation, it's not stable. Whereas if we imagined, okay, has Brett got something to show us? If we imagine, yeah, let
yeah,
me,
he did it. He did it. Brett did it.
okay, let me highlight you again.
Oh, that's how they package it. Look at that.
So they're touching at a single point. Now they are touching more than one. I hadn't thought about that before I said it. But so once you rotate the one set of 4 on top of the other, right? Um, then you're going to fall into a more stable, something more familiar to us, right? It's going to look octahedral. And now you can see that each ball has several points of contact.